So the title of my whole spiel tonight is Jesus is a Recycler. You're like, what? A recycler? Who recycles? Seriously, who recycles? Oh, wow, okay, wow, you guys are awesome. Sweet, green. So basically, wait, who knows my full name? Okay, so my full name is Raymond Malcolm Loftus the Fifth. Just in case y'all didn't know, I've put in my speech, so y'all know. All right, so my purpose tonight is basic, is simple. It's to inform you all about the poor and the homeless, and to persuade you all, to act out in love towards these people. Now you're wondering, like, Ray, why are you talking about this? I mean, you drive a truck, you live with your parents. What makes you qualified to speak about this? And this isn't a societal problem in America and around the world. It's the most talked about issue in the Bible, the poor and the homeless. And the Bible is what? Our instructional book of how we live here on earth. So I have 3 main points. So everyone hold up one. What society says. Repeat after me. What society says.
What society says.
What Jesus commands.
What Jesus commands.
And 3, how I can apply this into everyday application. Awesome. Cool.
Awesome. Cool.
All right. It's December night. It's a little chilly. You're wearing normal winter clothes. You're in a white van full of 11 other peers from your youth group. Everyone's talking about what they're going to get for Christmas from their mom, their dad, aunt, uncle, brother, sister, boyfriend, girlfriend. You're sitting there quiet, not knowing what to expect tonight. You're headed downtown San Diego. One of the beautifulest cities in the world, beautiful downtown San Diego.
Sure.
It's foggy. It's super thick and the fog's rolling in. It's kind of making you nervous, but you're just focused on tonight. You're headed to the Salvation Army of downtown San Diego. There's 2 groups. There's Group A and Group B, because your youth group is pretty big, so they take 2 vans, Group A and Group B. And when we get down there, Group A is supposed to, walk around downtown, hand out socks, water bottles, and just like snacks and stuff to the homeless people who are living on the streets. Group B stays inside Salvation Army and hands out socks, jackets, toothbrushes, toothpaste, simple stuff like that. Now this was my first time ever doing anything homeless related at all. So I'm kind of timid. I'm like, you know what? It'd be cool. I'm going to try it out. Pastor really suggested it. I'm going to do it. So I do it. I'm the one on the white bus. I'm the one looking at downtown San Diego. Now, what would happen in the next 30 minutes would change my entire perspective on the poor and the homeless. Craziness. So there's Chuck. There's Chuck. He walks in. He's tired. He's wet. He's cold. It's obvious he hasn't shaved in weeks. He hasn't showered in months. And it's obvious he's been homeless for years. He's walking past the table. Now, Chuck served in Vietnam. He's a little older guy, but he lost his family, his children, everything. Let's pause.
Bye, Chuck.
Then there's Larry.
Larry.
Did you get the coach?
Larry's a little younger. He's tired, he's wet, and he's cold. It smells like he hasn't showered in weeks. It's obvious that he hasn't shaved in months. And he's been homeless for years. But Larry has a different story. Larry went bankrupt, and he, again, lost his family, lost everything. Larry's walking past the table, and he sees this black cashmere jacket, kind of like this one. He's walking by. He eyes it. He's like, okay. He doesn't say that. But he's looking like he wants it. It looks warm, it looks cozy, and it looks like it's his next jacket. But then, there's Chuck. Chuck is also walking past the table, and he sees the black cashmere jacket. Chuck reaches for it with his left hand. At the same time, Larry reaches for it with his right hand. So there's two options. I'm standing behind this table, and there's two options that could go down. A peaceful one and a violent one. And the peaceful one's like, hey, sir, you look good in that jacket. You can have it. No, you, sir, would look good in that jacket. But does that happen? No. The violent way comes to play. There's pushing, there's shoving, and then cursing. Yeah. So my first thought is, when I woke up that morning, I did not in my wildest dreams think that this was going to happen. Not at all. Let's open up our Bibles to Luke 14:14.
I don't have the Bible.
So my first main point. Now you guys are smart, and who likes math? Raise your hand if you like math. Ooh, okay, sweet. So I'm going to shoot you some numbers and some statistics, so stay with me. They're not complicated. So what does this society say about the poor and the homeless? That they're supposed to be avoided? I mean, do you stare at them? You know, do you avoid eye contact? Do you walk faster when you're walking on the street? Do you tell your mom to drive faster when there's a homeless man on the corner of a street? Do you crack jokes? We've all been there. We've all done it. I've done it. It's estimated 200 million people worldwide are homeless. In Russia, there's 5 million homeless people in Russia. 1 million of those are children, just like y'all. 1/5. In 2003, there was a study that said 78 million people are homeless in India. India. Of course, there's a lot of people there. But anyhow, that's a big number. Now you're saying, okay, Ray, we live in America. Can I get some American facts? Yes. In the U.S., there are 1.3 million homeless people under the age of 18. So that's most of us here. They say 1 in 50 children are homeless in the United States. You're like, 50, that's a big number. That's not a big deal. 50 is a small number of the amount of people who live here in America. I have a little expert from the National Coalition of the Homeless. It basically says, the homeless, I'll just read it up here. Homelessness is a devastating experience for families. It disrupts virtually every aspect of family life, damaging the physical and emotional health of family members, interfering with children's education and development. Last year, 71% of the cities in America experienced an increase. Increase is what? More. 71% experienced an increase in homelessness in their cities. And you're like, wow, Raymond, that's crazy numbers. It is. My second main point. Everyone put a peace sign up. Awesome. Peace sign to you too. So what does the Bible and Jesus command and say about the poor and the homeless? So as I mentioned before, it's the most talked about subject in the Bible. It's mentioned over 205 times in the Bible with 197 verses. That's a lot. I mean, when that's in the Bible, God is trying to tell you something if it's that in there that many times. True story? True story. Cool.
Sorry, bro.
So I'm going to go through some verses kind of quick, but open up your cell phones or Bibles, whatever, to Luke 14:14. Matthew 8:20. This is about the poor and the homeless. It says, and Jesus said to them, foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Hebrews 13:2. Do not forget to entertain strangers, for by so doing, some have unwittingly entertained angels. Matthew 25:30 through 40. It's kind of long, so stick with me here. Then the king will come to those on his right hand. Come, you blessed, O my Father, inherit the kingdom, prepared for you from the foundation of the world, for I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. Then the righteous will answer him, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or gave you something to drink when you were thirsty? When were you ever a stranger and take you in, or naked and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and come to see you? And the king will answer and say to them, Surely, I say to you, inasmuch as you did to the one of the least of these, my brethren, you did it to me. Okay, everyone at Luke 13:13? Okay, cool. But when you gave a feast, invite the poor, the maimed, the lame, the blind, and you will be blessed because they cannot repay you. For you shall be repaid at the resurrection of the just. So let's get back to the Chuck and Larry story. Now we have Chuck over here. And he really wants this jacket. He's cold, and he is coveting over this jacket so much that he is going to fight this guy. Now they don't know each other. And I'm standing behind this table, and I'm like, I got to do something. And you all know, I'm a huge Denver Broncos fan. However, that night, at the corner of my right eye, I see a bright blue teal jacket. And I'm like, I move another jacket over, and sure enough, it's a Detroit Lions football jacket. It's pretty big, and it's comfy. Right on. And that night, I became a salesman for the Detroit Lions themselves. I said, hey man, here's the Detroit Lions jacket. It looks pretty warm, and it looks like your size. And his face blew up and glowed as glued as bright as I've ever seen someone's face.
Glue.
And he said, how did you know I was from Detroit? And I said, sir, I didn't. He was like, I moved out here after I went bankrupt, thinking I could find a job out here. He's like, my dad was the biggest Detroit Lions fan there was. Had seasonal tickets. And I said, well, then that makes that jacket yours then, doesn't it? He's like, it does. He puts the jacket on and walks away. Now Chuck takes this black suede jacket, he puts it on, and his face glows and glued just as much as Larry's. So you're probably sitting there and you're like, Ray, I'm 12 years old. What can I do? I don't have an income. My mom barely gives me chore money. I have my own dog and my own cat, my own bunny, and my turtle to worry about. But hey, this book is good, and this book tells you directly, even at your age, what you can do. 1 Timothy 4:12. Who's in Awanas? Okay, that's cool. I was in Awanas in my high school, and then it got hard, and I figured Boy Scouts were more important, so I quit Awanas. But there was one verse that I memorized. There was one verse, and it was this one, 1 Timothy 4:12. Don't let anyone look down on you because you're young, but set an example to the believers in speech, conduct, love, faith, and in purity. Beautiful verse. I love it.
I don't care.
Proverbs 19:17. Whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will be rewarded for what he has done. Meaning he or she. So you're like, Raymond, I'm only 12. I have my own responsibilities. How can I help the poor and the homeless when I'm driving in my mom's white Suburban? How can I help when I'm sitting in my dad's pickup truck? I can't. They're just there on the corner of the street. I got a story. The first 5 days of walking are the toughest for Zach Bronner, 11 years old. No matter how hard he trains, the Florida boy's feet ache, his tummy rumbles, and his legs stiffen. But the young man is on a mission to help homeless children, and after several days of walking at least 11 miles a day, he loosens up the pain, and he says, I want to help other kids that didn't have the same opportunities as me. Zach, who founded the Little Red Wagon Foundation in 2005 to help homeless and unprivileged children, walked 668 miles from Atlanta, Georgia, to Washington, D.C. Here's America. Atlanta, Georgia, Washington, D.C. Pretty far. Zach is collecting letters from children. Zach is collecting letters from children from all over the states to give to the president himself. He has raised about $35,000 already at this point. In 2008, from Tallahassee to Atlanta, and then Tampa to Tallahassee, he raised $42,000. That's a lot of money. And you know what he says at the end of the day? These kids don't have a home. They don't have a safe place to sleep at night. They're out on the streets not because they want to be, but because it's out of their control. Even as a very young man, he's able to make a difference. We have this thing here at the Crew. What's the official name? City of Refuge. Thank you. It's the first Saturday of every month from like 9 to 2. It's super cool. There's one this Saturday. I recommend it to y'all. If you've never been on anything that has to do with the poor or the homeless, it'll change your whole perspective. Now, you don't have to walk hundreds and hundreds of miles from, here to Alaska. You don't have to collect letters. But just helping at this, this thing called City of Refuge and handing out, apples, a couple apples or a couple water bottles as you just stand there and you look at the homeless man besides the table who is at the most desperate point of his life, you can do that. So here's the gist, guys. It's obvious that the poor and the homeless population is a pandemic issue. Does everyone know what pandemic means?
Yep.
Worldwide. It's just a problem worldwide. However, the Bible explains that the poor are the responsibility of the population, not a burden. On that same hand, Jesus shows us that these people are not to be avoided, but to be loved. Let me repeat that. Jesus says that these people are not, Jesus shows us in his actions that these people are not to be avoided, but loved. All in all, Jesus takes the unwanted, takes the poorest of the poor, and not only makes it his own, but makes him or her new. So what's the ultimate challenge? What am I saying? To act. To act now. Make the choice, make the difference in that guy's life across the table. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, I thank you for tonight.